My name is Diego, and I was there when Sarah's story changed forever. It was June 15th, a day that should have been filled with promise, yet it turned into a nightmare worth $50,000 at the community center. Sarah, a vibrant woman with dreams of a bright future, stood at the center of the room, her ex-husband glaring from across the crowd. Just days before, she had been celebrating the successful transfer of her family's business, a legacy she had poured her heart into, hoping to carve out a path that honored her parents' hard work. Yet here she was, heart racing and smile plastered on her face, masking the tension brewing inside her. The smell of fresh grass wafted through the open windows, mingling with the sound of wind chimes that tinkled softly, a stark contrast to the storm of emotion swirling within her. In that moment, she felt a flicker of hope for her future, yet she smiled but trembled, unsure of the storm that lay ahead. How can blood turn to poison like this? What nobody knew was that this seemingly ordinary day would unravel secrets that would change everything Sarah believed about love, loyalty, and betrayal, casting a shadow over the family legacy she had worked so hard to uphold. The sun was just peeking over the horizon, casting a warm golden glow across the small town of Maplewood. The familiar scent of morning coffee drifted through Sarah's quaint artisanal bakery, filling the air with an inviting aroma that promised a new day filled with fresh possibilities. As she stood behind the counter, her hands deftly kneading dough for her signature apple pie, the soft sound of wind chimes tinkling outside added a gentle melody to the bustling morning. Sarah had dedicated her life to this bakery, transforming it from a modest family endeavor into a beloved local establishment. The walls were adorned with photographs of her family, each snapshot capturing a moment of joy and pride. It was more than just a business. It was a tapestry of memories woven from the threads of tradition and innovation. The unique recipes she created blended her family's cherished flavors with modern twists, reflecting her cultural heritage and passion for baking. "Sarah, the apple pie looks incredible today!" Lisa, her sister, exclaimed as she'd entered the bakery, her eyes wide with admiration. There was an edge of envy in her tone, though, something Sarah had learned to recognize over the years. "Thanks, Lisa. I'm trying a new recipe that combines cinnamon with a hint of nutmeg. I think it'll really wow the customers," Sarah replied, her voice bright with enthusiasm. "Oh my God, you're always coming up with something new. It's like you can't help but show off," Lisa said, a playful smirk on her face that didn't quite reach her eyes. Sarah chuckled, brushing off the remark, but a nagging feeling settled in her stomach. Was it really just playful banter, or was there something deeper behind her sister's words? The bakery was bustling with customers, the morning rush filling the space with laughter and chatter. As Sarah moved around, serving coffee and fresh pastries, she caught glimpses of her parents sitting at a corner table, their faces glowing with pride as they watched their daughter. Mark, her father, leaned back in his chair, his hands clasped behind his head. "Our Sarah is making waves in this town," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "Look at all these people. She's built something special." "Absolutely," her mother added, her eyes sparkling. "But don't you think it's time we got a little more involved? We could help with the business side of things." Sarah's heart sank. She could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on her. "I appreciate the support, Mom, but I want to manage things my way for now. It's important for me to maintain my vision." A shadow crossed her father's face, the tension palpable in the air. "Just remember, we're here for you, Sarah." "Family is everything," Mark said, his voice a blend of support and an unspoken desire for control. As the day wore on, the bakery buzzed with energy, and Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. She had received a local business award last week, and the recognition had solidified her place as a beloved entrepreneur in Maplewood. But just as she was about to relish this victory, a familiar pang of heartbreak tugged at her heart. That moment in the backyard changed everything. It was a warm summer evening when Sarah had gathered her family to celebrate her award. Laughter and joy filled the air, But the atmosphere shifted when her parents began to discuss the future of the bakery. "Sarah, we were thinking," Lisa chimed in, "maybe it's time we talk about the business structure. A family partnership could really help expand your reach." The suggestion hung in the air like a dark cloud, overshadowing the joyous occasion. "I've built this business on my own," Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't want to change that." "Don't you want what's best for the family?" Tom, her ex-husband, had added, flashing his charming smile that always made her heart flutter. "We could do great things together, Sarah. Think about it." But all she could think about was the betrayal brewing beneath the surface. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The winds of change were blowing, and she felt her grip on her beloved bakery slipping away. One afternoon, as she prepared to close up shop, she received a phone call that would shatter her world. "Sarah, you need to come down to the courthouse," Mark said, urgency lacing his voice. "There's something you need to see." Her heart raced as she arrived, a sense of dread washing over her. As she entered the building, she spotted her family gathered in a hushed conversation. The sight of their faces sent a chill down her spine. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Sarah, we transferred the business to our names," Lisa said, her eyes glinting with a mix of triumph and guilt. "But then we found out, the trademark, it's registered under your name." "Oh my God, I can't believe this," Sarah gasped, her heart sinking as the reality of their betrayal hit her like a tidal wave. The trust she had placed in her family was crumbling before her eyes, and the air felt heavy with the weight of broken bonds. As the truth settled in, Sarah realized that the foundation of her family was built on something far more fragile than she had ever imagined. In that moment, surrounded by whispers of betrayal and the bitter taste of heartbreak, she vowed to fight for what was rightfully hers. Sarah gazed out the window. "What a beautiful day," she whispered. Tom noticed her distant look. "You seem lost in thought." The aroma of morning coffee drifted through the living room, mingling with the faint, nostalgic scent of baked goods still lingering from the bakery. Sarah sat on the edge of the couch, her heart pounding in her chest as she replayed the conversation she had with her parents just hours ago. It was supposed to be a casual family discussion about the bakery, a place she had poured her soul into, but it felt more like a betrayal now. "Sarah, we think it's time for a little change," her father, Mark, had said, his eyes darting between her and Lisa. "You've done amazing work, but you could use some help managing things. We can take over the business operations. You should focus on the creative side." The words echoed in her mind, but what struck her most was the way Lisa had smirked, as if she had been waiting for this moment. Jealousy simmered just below the surface, and Sarah could feel it. "Yeah, Sarah, think of it as a family unity thing," Lisa had chimed in, her tone sickly sweet. "You can finally relax a little. We're just trying to help." But the next morning, everything changed. As Sarah scrolled through her phone, the familiar jingle of a notification drew her attention. It was from her lawyer, a close family friend who had always been there for her. "Sarah, you need to check the ownership of your bakery. I heard some disturbing news," he had messaged. Her heart sank further as she rushed to her laptop, typing in the name of her bakery. The screen lit up with a shocking revelation. The ownership had been transferred to her parents and Lisa. Panic swelled within her, and her hands trembled as she read the fine print. They cited family unity as the reason for the transfer, but all she could feel was betrayal. "Oh my God, I can't believe this," she muttered, her voice barely a whisper, as she felt the walls of her world closing in. The place she had built with her own hands, the countless hours spent perfecting recipes, all taken away as if it were nothing more than a piece of furniture to be rearranged. A knock at the door pulled her from her spiraling thoughts. It was Tom, her ex-husband, and despite their rocky history, he had a knack for showing up at the worst moments. "Hey, I just thought I'd check in," he said, his charming smile fading when he noticed her distress. "What's wrong?" "Tom, they took the bakery," Sarah exclaimed, her voice trembling. "My parents and Lisa, they transferred everything to their names without telling me. It's like they've erased me from my life." He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "What? Are you serious? Why would they do something like that?" "Because they think they can manage it better," she replied, bitterness lacing her words. "They don't understand how much this means to me. It's not just a business, it's my life's work." Tom frowned, running a hand through his hair. "You need to fight this, Sarah. You built that bakery from the ground up. Have you checked the trademark status? You might still have rights over the brand." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The trademark! In her shock, she had completely overlooked it. "I haven't, but if they took the ownership, does that mean I lost everything?" "I don't know, but we need to find out," he said firmly. "Don't let them get away with this." As he spoke, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. It was a strange sensation, one she hadn't felt since the betrayal began to unfold. "You really think I can get it back?" "Absolutely. You've worked too hard to let them take this from you," Tom said, his tone more serious now. "We'll figure this out together." For a moment, the distant sound of traffic faded away, and all that existed was the possibility of reclaiming her life. The warmth of the coffee still lingered in the air, but it was no longer comforting. It was a reminder of how quickly everything could change. Reflection. That moment in the living room changed everything. Sarah realized she couldn't just sit back and let her family's greed consume her dreams. With newfound determination, she picked up her phone to call her lawyer, ready to take the first step in reclaiming what was rightfully hers. As she dialed, she couldn't shake the feeling that the battle ahead would reveal more than just her family's betrayal. There was something deeper, a hidden truth waiting to be uncovered, one that could shatter the very foundation of her family. Sarah took a deep breath. "We need to have a serious conversation." Tom tensed up. "About what exactly?" "About what exactly?" Tom asked, his brow furrowing with concern. I need to understand why they did this. Why now?" Sarah's voice trembled as she paced the living room, her fingers brushing against the textured fabric of the couch. The morning light filtered through the window, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the air, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in her mind. Tom leaned against the wall, crossing his arms. "Maybe they see you struggling and think they're helping." "It sounds misguided, but it's not uncommon for families to act like this." "Misguided?" Sarah scoffed, the bitterness seeping into her tone. "They've undermined everything I've worked for. It's like they don't even see me anymore." She paused, the weight of her emotions threatening to overwhelm her. "What if they're right? What if I'm not cut out for this?" "Don't say that," Tom said, stepping closer. "You're more than capable. You've built that bakery from scratch. You have a passion for it that no one else can replicate." The distant hum of traffic outside began to fade as Sarah's thoughts spiraled. The bakery, with its warm pastries and laughter, felt like a part of her soul. Could she really let it slip away? The idea made her stomach churn. "What if this is just the beginning?" she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "What if they plan to push me out of everything? What if they want to erase me completely?" Tom shook his head, his expression resolute. "You can't let them do that. You need to dig deeper. Find out what they're really planning. There might be more at stake than just the bakery." Sarah nodded slowly, the flicker of hope reigniting in her chest. "You're right. I need to confront them, but I can't do it alone." The thought of facing her parents sent a shiver down her spine, but she knew it was necessary. "Then let's do it together," Tom offered, his eyes steady and supportive. "We'll face them and uncover the truth." As Sarah looked at him, a sense of solidarity washed over her. She realized that the battle wasn't just about reclaiming her bakery, it was about reclaiming her voice, her identity. With renewed determination, she reached for her phone again, ready to take the first step toward a confrontation that would change everything. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the backyard. The scent of fresh grass mingled with the tantalizing aroma of BBQ wafting from the grill. Sarah stood there, her heart racing as she faced her parents across the picnic table, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "How could you do this to me?" Sarah's voice trembled, barely containing her frustration. "You transferred the business without even telling me?" Mark looked uneasy, shifting his weight as he exchanged a glance with Lisa, who leaned back with crossed arms, a smirk barely concealed on her lips. "Sarah, we did what we thought was best for the family," he replied, his tone apologetic but firm. "You're too focused on the creative aspects. You need us to handle the business side." "Oh my God, I can't believe this," Sarah exclaimed, her voice rising. "This is my life's work. I built this from the ground up, and you just hand it over like it's nothing?" Lisa chimed in, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Maybe if you hadn't been so wrapped up in your little dream world, you'd have noticed we were trying to help." Sarah's heart sank as the betrayal hit her like a freight train. She never imagined her own sister, the one person she thought would support her, would stab her in the back. "Help? You mean take over? Is that the plan all along, Lisa?" "Come on, Sarah," Tom said, stepping into the fray. His charming demeanor had always been a double-edged sword. "They're just trying to protect the family legacy. You can't do everything alone." "Protect the legacy," Sarah shot back, her voice cracking with emotion. "You're the one who wanted out. You didn't care about this business when you walked away." The silence that followed felt heavy, punctuated only by the distant hum of traffic. Each second stretched painfully as Sarah searched her parents' faces for some sign of regret, but all she found were steely resolves. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. "You don't understand the pressure," Mark finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We all want what's best for the family." "Yeah, right," Sarah muttered, feeling the weight of their accusations suffocating her. "You think this is what's best? Betraying me? Taking my hard work and calling it yours?" It was then that Sarah's younger brother, who had always stood by her side, broke the silence. "Sarah, maybe you're overreacting. They're just trying to keep the business running smoothly. It's not personal." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "You're siding with them after everything I've done for this family?" "Look, I get it, you're upset," he said, shrugging. "But this is about more than just you. It's about all of us." Sarah felt the ground shift beneath her. Her brother, her staunchest ally, now stood with the enemy. "I can't believe this," she whispered, feeling utterly alone. The BBQ smoke stung her eyes, but she refused to cry. "You're all willing to throw me under the bus for what? A piece of paper?" As the argument escalated, Sarah's mind raced. She needed to regroup, to figure out her next move. The legacy of the business wasn't just about the name. It was about everything she had poured into it. She took a step back, her heart pounding. "I need to think," she said, turning away from them, desperate to find clarity. Later, she sought refuge in the quiet of the local park, her mind swirling with thoughts. She could feel the cool breeze brush against her skin, a stark contrast to the heat of the confrontation. It was here that she met with her business mentor, a wise woman who had navigated her own family struggles. "Sarah," the mentor began, her voice steady and calm, "family businesses are tricky. They can be your greatest support or your biggest challenge." "I just don't understand how they could do this to me," Sarah confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought they believed in me." "They may have their reasons, but remember this. Your brand is your identity. You can't let anyone take that from you," she advised, leaning in closer. "You have to stand your ground." In that moment, Sarah felt a flicker of hope spark within her. "You're right," she said, straightening her back. "I won't let them take this from me." As she left the park, the weight of her family's betrayal still clung to her, but now she had a plan. The smell of fresh grass and distant laughter from families enjoying their BBQs around her reminded her that she wasn't alone in this fight. There were others who had faced similar battles and emerged victorious. With renewed determination, Sarah knew she had to reclaim her brand. Little did she know that the true battle was just beginning, and the stakes were higher than she ever imagined. The smell of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air as Sarah sat in the backyard, the morning sun casting a warm glow over the family home. Birds chirped merrily, but their cheerful sounds felt like a cruel contrast to the turmoil brewing inside her. She had spent countless hours perfecting her apple pie recipe, nurturing her bakery like a beloved child, only to have it snatched away from her. Her heart sank as she recalled Mark's words, "We're doing this for the family's best interest." What did that even mean? As she sipped her coffee, Sarah rummaged through old family documents piled high in a box tucked away in the corner of the shed. Each paper held memories, moments of laughter and hard work, but it was a letter, yellowed and fragile, that caught her eye. With trembling hands, she unfolded it, revealing her grandfather's elegant handwriting. The words leapt out at her. The bakery name was meant to be preserved within the family, but it should always remain with the most deserving member. Her mind raced. Was she the deserving one? It felt like an eternity as she replayed every moment with her family, every late-night brainstorming session about flavors, every laugh shared over flour-dusted counters. The letter felt like a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the storm of betrayal. But what did it matter if they had the legal documents on their side? "Sarah?" Lisa's voice broke through her thoughts, sharp as a knife. She found her sister standing at the back door, arms crossed, an eyebrow raised. "What are you doing with that old junk?" "Old junk?" Sarah echoed, her voice rising. "This old junk might just change everything. You know, it's about our family legacy." Lisa rolled her eyes, brushing off the importance of the letter. "Oh, please, it's just a bunch of sentimental nonsense. What matters is what's on paper, and you know it." "Sentimental nonsense?" Sarah shot back, her pulse quickening. "This letter is from Grandpa. He made it clear that the bakery's name should stay with the most deserving member, and I—" "And you what?" Lisa interrupted, her tone dismissive. "You think just because you're a good baker, you're entitled to everything? We've all worked hard, Sarah." "Hard? You mean you plotted behind my back to take over something that I built from scratch?" Sarah's voice trembled with rage and disbelief. At that moment, Mark emerged from the house, a frown etched on his face. "What's going on here?" "Just a little family chat," Lisa replied, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Sarah found some old letter from Grandpa," Mark explained, stepping closer. "What's it say?" "It's about the bakery name," Sarah stated, holding the letter tightly. "He wanted it to stay with the most deserving member, and I believe that's me. You can't just ignore this." Mark's expression shifted, uncertainty clouding his eyes. "But Sarah, we have legal rights." "Legal rights?" Sarah interrupted, her voice rising. "What about family? What about the legacy? You're willing to throw all of that away for a piece of paper?" "Sarah, calm down," Mark said, his tone cautious. "This isn't just about you, it's about the family's future." "Future?" Sarah scoffed, her heart racing. "You mean your future? Your plans? I can't believe you'd all betray me like this." As the words left her lips, she felt a surge of desperation. She had trusted them, had given everything to this dream, and now they were willing to throw it away. "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening," she muttered, her voice breaking. The atmosphere grew tense, thick with unspoken emotions. The sun shone down, casting long shadows across the backyard, each figure a stark reminder of the fracture that had formed. It was as if the very air was charged with electricity, and Sarah could feel the weight of the moment. "Listen," Mark started, his voice lower now. "We can work through this. We can figure it out together." Together, Sarah echoed, incredulity lacing her words. You've already made your choice without me. You've shown me where your loyalties lie. With that, she turned away, her heart pounding in her chest. The shock of betrayal had become an unbearable weight. She glanced at the letter one last time, her grandfather's words echoing in her mind. But just as hope began to flicker, she felt a hard realization settle in. The truth might not matter against the legalities they wielded like swords. "Sarah, wait!" Lisa called out, but she couldn't bear to hear another word. In that moment, standing amidst the echoes of laughter and love that once filled the space, Sarah knew she had to fight, not just for the bakery, but for her own identity. As she stepped away from the chaos, determination surged within her. The battle was far from over. "I can't believe this," Sarah whispered in disbelief. "I can explain everything," Tom said desperately. The wind chimes tinkled softly in the background as Sarah sat cross-legged on the living room floor, surrounded by scattered papers and a half-empty cup of fresh coffee. The aroma of the brew mingled with the scent of fresh grass wafting in through the open window, grounding her amidst the storm of emotions swirling inside. She was on a mission, a quest to reclaim what was rightfully hers. Her heart raced as she sifted through the documents, piecing together the evidence of her family's betrayal. "Okay, Sarah, you can do this," she whispered to herself, steeling her resolve. She had reached out to local business owners, gathering insights on the legal intricacies of trademark protection. Each conversation was a lifeline, pulling her closer to understanding how to navigate the murky waters of the law. The stories they shared ignited a flicker of hope in her chest. She wasn't alone in this fight. As she flipped through another stack of papers, her phone buzzed, and she glanced at the screen. It was a reminder about the trademark workshop she had signed up for. "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening," she muttered, her heart sinking at the thought of what her family had done. They had taken her dreams and transferred them into their own names. But she was determined to fight back. The workshop was held in a cozy community center, filled with the rich scent of freshly brewed coffee and the laughter of fellow entrepreneurs. Sarah took a deep breath as she walked in, letting the warmth of the room envelop her. She found a seat at the back, absorbing every word the speaker shared about the importance of protecting her brand. With each passing minute, her anger transformed into a fierce determination. She was not just Sarah, the baker, anymore. She was Sarah, the businesswoman who would reclaim her identity. "Remember, your brand is your story," the instructor emphasized, her voice resonating through the room. "If someone else tells it for you, you lose your voice." Sarah felt a rush of clarity wash over her. This was more than just a legal battle. It was about her legacy, her family's history, and the passion she had poured into the bakery. After the workshop, Sarah approached a few attendees, sharing her story and seeking advice. One woman, a local cafe owner, leaned in closer. "You have to get your trademark registered as soon as possible. It's your first line of defense," she advised. "And don't hesitate to seek legal counsel." "Thank you," Sarah replied, her voice steady with newfound confidence. "I will." Driving home, she couldn't shake the exhilaration coursing through her veins. In the living room, it hurt like hope. That was how she felt as she stepped inside her home. The sight of the kitchen, adorned with her family's recipes and memories, made her heart swell and ache at the same time. She had built this business from the ground up, and she wasn't about to let her family's greed overshadow her hard work. As night fell, Sarah spread her papers across the dining table, reviewing her notes from the workshop. She could practically hear Tom's voice in her head, filled with charm and ambition. "You've always been so focused on the creative side." "Sarah, let me handle the business stuff," he would say, as if her dreams were a burden he had to bear. The betrayal stung like a wasp, but it also lit a fire within her. She picked up her phone and dialed Lisa, her sister. The ringing felt like an eternity, but finally, Lisa answered. "Hey Sarah, what's up?" she chirped, too casually for Sarah's liking. "Lisa, we need to talk. About the bakery," Sarah said, her voice firm. "Is this about Mom and Dad again?" Lisa sighed. "I thought we moved past that." "No, this is different. I know what you and Tom did," Sarah replied, her heart pounding. There was a pause on the other end, and Sarah could almost hear the gears turning in Lisa's mind. "What do you mean?" Lisa asked, her tone shifting. "You transferred the business to your names without telling me. I won't let you take what I've worked for," Sarah declared, feeling a surge of empowerment. "Sarah, come on, you're being dramatic," Lisa retorted. But there was an edge to her voice that suggested she was losing her cool. "Dramatic? You're the one who conspired behind my back. This isn't just about business, it's personal," Sarah shot back. "Maybe it's time you realize you can't do everything alone," Lisa snapped. A silence fell between them, heavy and charged. Sarah felt a mix of sadness and anger wash over her. She wasn't just fighting for her business, she was fighting for her place in the family, for her identity. As she hung up, Sarah took a deep breath, letting the tension drain from her body. She had ignited the first spark of her battle. She would redefine who she was, not just in the eyes of her family, but in her own heart. Thought. The smell of fresh coffee brought painful memories. Memories of mornings spent baking with her mother, of laughter and dreams shared over warm pastries. She resolved to transform that pain into power. With a clear vision and unwavering determination, she would reclaim her name and her story, even if it meant facing the very people she had loved the most. Sarah clenched her fists. "I don't want to hear any more excuses." Tom hung his head. "I'm truly sorry." The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood as Sarah stepped out onto the porch. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the distant sounds of morning traffic. Today was the day she would confront her family. Armed with legal advice and a community rallying behind her, she felt a flicker of hope, a small flame in an otherwise dark situation. As she settled onto the weathered wooden steps, her heart raced. She could hear the soft clinking of dishes from inside the house, where her family was busy preparing for the meeting. The thought of what lay ahead made her stomach churn, but she knew it was necessary. "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening," she whispered to herself, trying to steady her nerves. When everyone finally gathered on the porch, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Sarah took a deep breath, steadying herself for the confrontation. "I want to talk about the bakery and the ownership transfer," she began, her voice firm yet strained. "I've spoken with a lawyer and I'm here to challenge what you did." Mark shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between Sarah and the ground. "We thought it was for the best, Sarah," he said, his voice low. "You were so focused on the creative side that we didn't think you'd care about the business operations." "That's not true," Sarah shot back, her voice rising in frustration. "This is my life, my dream. You all just took it from me without a second thought." Her heart sank as she looked at Lisa, who stood silently, an unreadable expression on her face. "Maybe if you just listened to us," Lisa interjected, her jealousy bubbling to the surface, "you wouldn't be in this situation. You always thought you knew best." Sarah's jaw tightened. "This isn't just about me, it's about our family legacy. You're risking everything we've built by trying to take control like this." The conversation escalated quickly, voices raised and emotions running high. It was as if years of unresolved resentment were pouring out, and Sarah could feel the walls of her family crumbling around her. "Why didn't you tell me about the financial struggles? I could have helped," she pleaded, looking at Mark, the pain evident in her voice. Mark sighed, his shoulders slumping as he met her gaze. "We didn't want to worry you. We thought—" "Thought what? That I wouldn't care?" Sarah interrupted, her voice thick with emotion. "You didn't trust me." Just then, Tom, who had been sitting quietly, finally spoke up. "Sarah, maybe you should listen to the bigger picture here. I've been in talks with investors who want to take the bakery national. We could be more than just a local shop." The words hung in the air, and Sarah's heart raced. What? You've been doing what? She demanded, incredulity washing over her. This is about power to you, isn't it? You never cared about the bakery or our family. It was always about your ambitions. Tom's eyes flashed with irritation. Don't twist this. I'm trying to secure a future for all of us. It's not just about you anymore. Then why didn't you tell me? Sarah shot back, her voice shaking with anger and betrayal. I can't believe you're willing to destroy what we have for your own gain. In that moment, the porch felt too small for all the unresolved issues that had been festering among them. Reflection. That moment on the porch changed everything. Sarah could see the family she once knew starting to fracture, the cracks widening with every harsh word spoken. Look, we can fix this, Mark said, his voice shaky but determined. We just need to work together, like we always have. Together? Sarah laughed bitterly, shaking her head. You think I can trust you all after this? You've already shown your true colors. As the silence settled over the group, Sarah felt her resolve strengthen. I won't let you take this from me. I'll fight for my business, for my family legacy. She paused, searching their faces for any hint of understanding. And I'll do it without you if it comes to that. The tension was palpable, and Sarah could feel the weight of their collective disappointment. I'm sorry, but I can't be part of this betrayal, she said softly, turning to leave the porch. As she stepped back into the house, the smell of pancakes and coffee faded, replaced by an overwhelming sense of loss. She knew this confrontation was just the beginning. The fight for her business and her family was far from over. Enough, Sarah shouted, her voice echoing. Please let me speak, Tom pleaded. There's nothing left to say, Sarah finalized. Enough, Sarah shouted, her voice echoing. Please let me speak, Tom pleaded. There's nothing left to say, Sarah finalized. The air grew thick with unspoken words, and the tension was suffocating. Sarah turned away from them, her heart pounding in her chest, feeling like a stranger in her own home. She could hear the faint hum of traffic outside, a stark contrast to the storm brewing within. The sky had begun to cloud over, and a distant rumble of thunder hinted at rain, as if the universe itself was mirroring her turmoil. Sarah, don't walk away from this, Mark said, desperation lacing his voice. We can find a way to work this out. She paused at the doorway, her hand resting on the frame. Work what out? You've already made your decisions without me. How can I trust you to include me now? Please, just sit down, Lisa added, her tone softer, almost pleading. We can talk this through. We're family. Family? Sarah scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. Family doesn't stab each other in the back. Family doesn't hide things from one another. She felt tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. But she blinked them away. No more weakness, she thought. The rain began to patter against the porch, soft at first, then gaining strength, the sound blending with the chaotic rhythm of her heartbeat. She turned to face her family, her resolve hardening. You need to understand how much this means to me. The bakery was my childhood dream, and you've turned it into a battlefield. Tom stepped forward, his expression shifting from irritation to concern. Sarah, I never wanted it to come to this. I thought... Thought what? She interrupted, her voice rising once more. That you could just push me aside and chase your vision? This isn't just business, it's personal. The rain intensified, and she could feel droplets misting her face. The coldness of the water contrasted sharply with the heat of her anger. If you truly believe in what you're doing, then let's lay it all out on the table, she challenged, her gaze unwavering. Let's see if we can rebuild this. But I won't be sidelined again. A heavy silence fell over the group, and Sarah took a deep breath, feeling both vulnerable and empowered. Maybe, just maybe, this confrontation could be the beginning of a new chapter, one where she refused to back down. The rain had just stopped, leaving the air fresh and cool as the scent of damp pavement mingled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting from the kitchen. Sarah leaned against the wooden railing of the porch, her heart still heavy with the weight of the earlier confrontation. The chirping of birds filled the silence, a stark contrast to the turmoil within her. "Okay, let's talk," Sarah said, her voice steady but strained. She looked at her family gathered before her, their expressions a mix of apprehension and defiance. "I don't want to lose my bakery, my dream. We need to come to an understanding." Tom crossed his arms, a habit that always made him look more imposing. "And what do you propose? You want to take back everything while we sit back and do nothing?" "I never said that," Sarah replied, frustration bubbling beneath her calm exterior. "I just want to reclaim my trademark. It's my name, my work. You all betrayed me, and I need to protect what I've built." Lisa, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh my God, Sarah, it's not just about you. We're family. We thought you'd want what's best for everyone." Mark shifted uncomfortably, caught in the middle of the storm. "Can we focus on how to move forward instead of tearing each other apart? There's got to be a way to make this work." For a moment, the group fell into silence, each person lost in their thoughts. The smell of coffee intensified as Sarah turned to face them, determination in her eyes. "What if I keep ownership of the trademark, but involve you in the future direction of the bakery? We can create something together." Lisa raised an eyebrow. Skepticism etched on her face. "And how do you expect us to trust you again after everything?" "Trust is earned, not given," Sarah said, her voice firm. "But I want us to be a team. We can rebrand the bakery, incorporate family elements into the new logo. It'll symbolize unity and collaboration. What do you say?" Mark nodded slowly, the tension in his shoulders easing. "That could work. We can all contribute our ideas. I think it's worth a shot." Tom uncrossed his arms, a flicker of interest crossing his face. "If we do this, we need to ensure everyone is on the same page. No more secrets." "Agreed," Sarah said, relief washing over her. "I'll register the trademark under my name, but we'll all be involved in the business decisions moving forward." The atmosphere shifted, a sense of possibility blooming among them. Sarah could feel her heart begin to lift, the weight of betrayal slowly transforming into a foundation for something new. "I'll start working on the rebranding next week. I want your ideas, your input. This is our bakery, and it deserves to thrive." "I can help with the logo," Lisa said, her earlier bitterness fading. "I've got some concepts in mind." As they began to brainstorm ideas, Sarah felt the tension melt away, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. They laughed and shared stories, the backyard echoing with warmth as they crafted plans for the future. The fresh scent of rain-soaked earth mingled with the rich coffee, a reminder of the healing that had begun that day. But then, as they discussed color palettes and design elements, a thought crossed Sarah's mind, a micro twist of realization. "Wait a second, if I own the trademark, does that mean Lisa's ideas for the logo can't be used unless I approve them? What if she has plans of her own?" Lisa caught the look in Sarah's eyes, and a moment of unspoken tension hung between them. But instead of resentment, there was an understanding. "You're right, Sarah. I don't want to take from you. I want to build something with you." Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with hope. "Then let's do this together. We're not just family, we're a team." As they continued their discussion, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm golden glow over the backyard. It felt like a new beginning, a chance to mend not just their business, but their fractured relationships. The air was filled with laughter and excitement, the sounds of birds chirping harmonizing with their renewed spirit. In that moment, Sarah realized that the true essence of their family business wasn't just in the recipes or the trademark, it was in the bonds they shared and the dreams they dared to chase together. "Do you think we can really do this?" she asked, looking at each of them with hope. "Absolutely," Mark replied, a smile spreading across his face. "Together, we can make it work." "And you, on your porch, what dreams are you willing to fight for?" Sarah smiled for the first time in days. "Everything will be okay." Tom nodded. "You're stronger than you know."